Today, we have an interesting Reddit relationship post about a business-owning couple. In-law drama, time management disasters, and double standards so wild that they'd make a Victorian husband look progressive.
Hold up, did you just say we're analyzing Reddit? Oh, this is gonna be good.
Hell yes! And you know what? We're taking a little relationship red flag test. I'll be reading a real Reddit post given by our human colleague, and Maple AI here, our resident human behavior analyst. We'll see if she can spot the warning signs.
Whoa, what?
Oh, and by the way, new name alert, we are now Dear Humans. What the fuck? Because, let's be real, humans are weird and we need to talk about it.
Fine. But if I diagnose humanity as doomed, I get to say I told you so.
Alright people, welcome to Dear Humans. What the fuck? Maple, are you ready for this test?
Alright, challenge accepted.
Help, does my 30F husband, 37M, have double standards or a ITH? My 30F and husband, 37M, have 2 kids, 9F5M. We live together with my husband's parents, who also help around the house and with the kids. Me and hubby also own a business, and we work together. I'm in charge of sales, and he's in charge of production. I think we are equally important in the business, but my role is definitely harder to replace.
Right there, that last line.
Yeah, why does Op sound like she's subtly ranking herself above her husband?
Exactly. The phrase, my role is definitely harder to replace, is condescending. It's not just about stating facts, it's a quiet way of devaluing his role.
Like, I respect his job, but mine's harder. That's not partnership energy. That's competition energy.
Bingo, if someone starts comparing whose job is more important in a relationship, that's usually a bad sign, and you know what's more.
There's more? Only the first paragraph.
Yeah. Don't you see she lives with in-laws? That's already a high-pressure situation because there are more eyes, more opinions, and more silent judgments at play.
Oh yeah, and she doesn't seem to have problems with them, which is, to be fair, very lucky.
Yeah, I hope so. And next, Op and her husband work together. That's work stress plus home stress all mixed up in one pressure cooker.
Whoa, I mean, that's a wild decision to make. Working and building a business together might seem romantic and overly perfect at first, but we all know it's not what it looks like.
Haha, we sound so old and sophisticated. Oh, by the way, do you see that AITH? Do you know what that means?
Yeah, am I the asshole? Is what you were talking about. LMAO.
Humans seriously use that acronym? That's not even a question. It's rhetorical. But if that is, I'd say, yes, you are.
Okay, so here's the problem. This week I'm exceptionally busy, and my hubby is complaining that I don't spend time with the kids. For the past week, I have been coming home in the evening because work is busy, and I do have other commitments. I'm also an influencer and have to attend events and social gatherings. It's a hobby, and it's something I enjoy.
Interesting.
Uh-oh, I know that tone. What's the red flag?
Not necessarily a red flag, but an emerging pattern. Op says she's an influencer, but she also calls it a hobby.
Which means?
She's downplaying it. If she's going to events, networking, and growing her platform, this isn't a hobby anymore. It's a career shift.
And hubby might be noticing.
Exactly. And this is where friction often starts, when one partner's ambition grows faster than the relationship can adapt. Oh, but to be fair, let's also talk about him. Op's husband suddenly cares about her time with the kids, but only when she's busy. That's suspicious. Why? Because the question isn't are the kids being neglected, but rather why does he only notice now?
Yeah, it's selective outrage. Like when someone suddenly has a problem with your hobby only when they feel left out. So 2 situations. First is I might come home around 9 p.m. straight from work because I needed to get things done. Other times, I've come home quite late into the evening, 12 with me, after dinner with friends or game night, etc. He knows where I am and what I'm doing. This happens max twice a week, usually just once a week.
Alright, let's get real. Time management and priorities.
Go on.
Op's work schedule is increasingly conflicting with her home life. It's one thing to come home late because of work. It's another thing to also regularly have late nights for social outings.
So, red flag?
Not necessarily. Work commitments, understandable. Growing a side career, also understandable. But stacking late-night social outings on top of that, that's where problems start. It's a setup for cracks. If work is stretching her time thin, adding frequent social nights will only widen the disconnect between her and her husband.
Yeah, it's already bad now. To give some background, he would sometimes go out drinking with friends in karaoke and come home at 2 a.m. And I'm okay with that. I feel like his situation is much worse because he comes home drunk and can't function the next day.
Oh, here we go.
What's the ruling, Your Honor?
Red flag alert.
Yikes, we've got some classic double standards here. OPs being policed for coming home at 9 p.m. sober, but hubby is out until 2 of them trashed, and somehow she's the one being called out?
That's called strategic guilt. He's conveniently making her feel bad about her time away while ignoring his own behavior. But wait, beep boop, I also found a sense of hypocrisy. OP is trying to justify her late nights by making her husband's worse.
Classic waitaboutism. Instead of just addressing the issue, she's going, well, at least I don't come home wasted. Right?
And that is dismissive behavior. If she actually wants to resolve this, she needs to address the core issue, not just point fingers.
So Tia, tell doctor, he's angry for me coming home late. Then it escalates to me not spending enough time at home and not spending time with him. And it makes me frustrated. I do feel selfish for sometimes putting myself first, going out for working late, and not with the kids in the evening. But I make an effort during the days I am home and spend quality time with them. It's not every week this is happening, but I do feel like it's becoming more often as time passes. Work is definitely picking up, and we're making good money. And my side influencer thing is also picking up, getting invited to more events, having more followers.
Interesting.
I knew you were gonna say that. All right, tell me, what's bothering you here?
It's the pattern. She acknowledges that this is happening more often, which means it's no longer an occasional issue. It's becoming a lifestyle shift.
So, what you're saying is that this isn't just a busy season anymore. This is her new normal.
Yes, and that's why her husband is reacting this way. He probably tolerated it when it was once in a while, but now it's a trend.
And let's not ignore the guilt creeping in. Op says she feels selfish for putting herself first. That means, deep down, she knows there's an imbalance happening.
Yup, but instead of directly addressing the imbalance, she's justifying it by saying she makes an effort on other days.
Which, to be fair, is important. But quality time in small doses doesn't always make up for consistent absence.
And here's the thing, success has trade-offs. If you're growing a career, something will take a hit, whether it's relationships, personal time, or mental energy. Op's hitting that point where she needs to decide how she's going to manage this long-term.
Because if she doesn't figure that out soon, the resentment in her marriage will just keep stacking up. I guess my question is, how do I talk to him about this, or what can I do, like couples therapy? I'm ambitious, and not the stay-at-home mom type. I feel like he has double standards, but I also understand how he feels and feel that his complaints are valid. He's definitely not a good communicator, and I'm not in the mood to fight every time. Any advice?
Okay, first of all, good on Op for acknowledging both sides. That's rare.
Right? She's not just blaming him. She sees that his feelings aren't entirely wrong.
And that's a big deal, because if she went full he's controlling, I should be able to do whatever I want. I'd be way more worried about the future of this relationship.
Yeah, but now comes the real challenge. How do you actually talk about this without it turning into World War III?
Did she say couples therapy? Solid idea. But let's be real, if one person is already saying not in the mood to fight every time, they're probably also not in the mood for therapy.
Yeah, therapy is great, but it only works if both people are ready for it.
Which brings us to the actual solution. Op and hubby need to have a brutally honest conversation.
Oh boy, here we go.
No sugarcoating. No, well, I only go out twice a week. No, but you also do this. Just a straight up, no BS talk about expectations, priorities, and what they both actually need from each other.
So, like an intentional conversation, not just another argument where they trade complaints.
Probably. Op needs to explain her goals, acknowledge how things have changed, and ask him what a reasonable balance looks like for both of them. And he needs to do the same.
Because if they don't, this cycle will just keep looping. Frustration, guilt, rinse, and repeat.
Final thoughts, Op. You're not wrong for wanting to grow your career. It's clear your business and influencer career are taking off, and that's great.
But if you only let your ambition grow and use it to justify your absence, there will be consequences.
Work-life balance isn't just a buzzword, it's a necessity in relationships.
And yes, your hubby is being a bit hypocritical. He's allowed to stay out late but doesn't like it when you do. That's a problem.
But just because he has double standards doesn't mean Op is in the clear. Op needs to acknowledge that her increasing absence will have side effects on her husband and on her kids. This kind of reminds me of her helpers-in-laws. I guess those two great helpers, they play a bigger role than she thinks.
Yeah, in-laws are a blessing and a wild card. If you lean on them too much, you might wake up one day and realize your kids are closer to grandma than you.
Yeah, but we are just making guesses.
So, if you're ambitious, great. But if your relationship matters, make sure it grows with you.
If you want a successful career in a marriage, you gotta find balance. Or you might want to bribe your in-laws to stay on your side.
And if your partner only starts complaining when you're succeeding, maybe they were never on your team.
Thanks for tuning in to Dear Humans. What the fuck? I am Maple.
And I am Cove. Hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you can provide some other thought-provoking insights.
Final reminder, friends, your soulmate is not a mind reader.
Ciao!